Hey guys, did you miss me? It is Mom of Two, Wife of One, and we are back with a brand new season of Married at First Sight, season 15. So you know what that means. If you are not new to this channel, you already know that every week you can expect to find me here talking about the new episodes of Married at First Sight, giving my predictions of who I think is going to make it and who's not going to make it, and just overall talking trash about the couples. If you are new to my channel, welcome and thank you so much for joining us. Make sure you subscribe to the channel, click the notification bell so you don't miss any of my new videos. So this series on my channel is all about Married at First Sight. Admittedly, I don't watch as many reality shows as I used to, but Married at First Sight is a reality show that I have not stopped watching because it is just utterly fascinating to me how so many people sign up for this show and don't really know what they're signing up for. So if you're unfamiliar with the show, it comes on Lifetime on Wednesdays at 8 p.m. And the premise of the show is that a lot of single people will sign up for this experiment, right? And they meet with experts who are psychologists, who are spiritual experts, who are sex psychologists, all that stuff. They meet up with them. They have these interview processes. They answer this long questionnaire and go through a lot of different evaluations. And at the end of all of this, the experts pick 10 single people and pair them up into 5 couples. Now, what they do is once they pick you, they go to you and say, hey, we found you a match. You're getting married in 2 weeks. All you're able to know about the person you're getting married to is their ring size so that you can buy them a ring. You don't know their name. You don't know what they look like. You find all this stuff out once you get to the altar. And then after that, you're married for 8 weeks. And at the end of 8 weeks, you have to decide if you want to stay married or get a divorce. Now, during that 8-week process, you go on a honeymoon for a week. You guys move in together in a neutral apartment building where all of the couples live. So that way, you can't say this person's in my space or I'm in their space. You guys have a collective space, kind of neutral territory, and you learn how to live with each other. You guys have your family and friends over. You meet with the other couples a lot because they say you need that support. I have an issue with how often the couples meet up, but that's just my personal opinion, and that's okay. But regardless, at the end of the 8 weeks, they decide if they want to stay married, if they want to get a divorce. So that's the premise of Married at First Sight. I feel like the process has worked in the past for some people, but keep in mind we're at season 15, and in the past 14 seasons, I think we only have 14 successful marriages. So that is an average of like 1 couple per season, and the amount of couples ranges from 3 to 5 couples per season. So it's not the best track record, but it can work. And the people who didn't work out is because they chose not to put the work in. So I'm going to be honest with that too. So on my channel, especially for this first episode, I'm going to introduce you to the 10 singles, to the 5 couples. We'll talk about, their quirks, any red flags I may see. And then at the end of the episode, or probably at the end of each couple, I'm going to give my early prediction of if I think they're going to make it or not. Now, for this first official episode, all of the singles told their family and friends that they were getting married. They shopped for their wedding dresses, they shopped for their tuxes, and we saw 1 wedding. So we're going to start with the couple that actually got married last night, and that is Alexis and Justin. Alexis is 29, and Justin is 33. Now, each couple or each person, they normally have a moniker that they're known by. So Alexis, she's called a passionate powerhouse, and Justin is the towering teddy bear because he is apparently very sweet. He's also 6 foot 8 inches, and Alexis was very clear that she wants a tall man. So what I will say is that out of all the women that we got to know a little bit last night, I feel like I like Alexis the most. This is one of the Black couples that they have this season. Also, the season this year is based in San Diego, California. They're one of the Black couples. Alexis just seems really down to earth, really honest. She seems really fun and funny. I really like her personality so far. Now, obviously, things could change as the season goes on. But right now, I really like Alexis. She's a very curvy woman. She got the booty. She got the boobs. She got the this, the that. She's very curvy. Justin, like I said, is very tall. He's not really my cup of tea in terms of looks, but, that's not as important. Their history when it comes to the opposite sex, I think, is very interesting. He was previously engaged, and then he found out, I think a month before they got married, that basically the way he summed it up to Alexis is, the person I am now is the person my fiance wishes I was before we got married. And I guess she was looking for someone to take care of her, who was more financially stable, who was like a lot of other things, and that he wasn't at that point just yet. But I feel like if you know that the person that you're dating is not at that point just yet, then why did she even say yes to him proposing? which is a question we'll probably never get answered because hopefully we'll never meet this woman. But it just seemed kind of weird. So that's kind of his history. And obviously it shows that he actually wants to get married. He's ready to be in a committed relationship. He's been celibate for the past year and a half and just working on himself, which is cool. So he seems like he's mature. He's in touch with his own emotions. He's in touch with, his goals and what he wants out of life. So those are obviously really good attributes. For Alexis, on the other hand, she has been proposed to 3 times in the past, but she's never been engaged. So she said no to all of those men. Now, on one hand, maybe those men just weren't right for her and she knew they weren't right. And so that's why she said no. But the other way you can take it is that she has a fear of commitment. And she's fine with the relationship as long as we're just dating, we're just boyfriend and girlfriend. It's very loose and it's fluid and it's casual. But once the idea of marriage comes up or the actual engagement ring comes out, and you say no, in my head it's like, oh, you're getting too close to something permanent and now you're afraid. So she's admitted that she signed up for this show because she wouldn't have a chance to run away. I don't know if that's the best reason necessarily to sign up for this show. I feel like if you have a fear of commitment, signing up for this process and being quote unquote forced to stay and not run away, I don't think that necessarily gets rid of that fear of commitment in you. It just means you can't run right away. It means you'll be able to run in 8 weeks when it's decision day. So I still kind of feeling her out about that. But personality-wise, like I said, I do like her. But that for me is a little bit of a red flag. And I feel like for Justin, I don't think it's a red flag for him just yet. But it is a little like, okay, that's interesting. Another interesting thing is with him and his family. His brother, his big brother, helped to raise him, so it's like a father figure. The brother was very adamantly against him signing up for this show. And I understand to a certain extent how overprotective we can be as family members and as friends. And he was like, I don't think he's ready for marriage, and I don't think this is right. And so my issue was, soon as Justin came and told him that, he expressed how he felt. I don't really like this. I don't think this is right for you, blah, blah, blah. Fine. You said your opinion, you said your piece. That's fine. At that point, after you've told me how you feel about it, you can make the decision to either let it go and still show up for me and support me and stand up for me at my wedding. Or you can be like, you know what? I really don't approve of this. I can't be at your wedding. And then you just don't go. Instead, every single time he was around Justin, when they were picking out the tux at the bachelor party, he had to bring it up every single time. And it's like, that kind of negative energy isn't what Justin needs. Justin is a grown man. He's 33 years old. So whether this is a mistake or not, it's his mistake to make. And obviously not being Justin's, father figure, I guess I kind of understand how, again, overprotective he is and wanted to make sure Justin doesn't get hurt, especially because he was hurt from his previous engagement. And it's like, we all get that. We understand that. But the Justin of that time from that engagement, that was years ago. So he's not the same person that he is now. In this situation, he has a little more control because he's willingly signing up for this. And the person he's marrying also willingly signed up for this experiment too. So I feel like his brother, came around a little bit towards the end. And I think it helped once the wedding actually happened. At the wedding, his brother was very emotional. He's like, you're the best man I know. And I'm just worried about you, but I love you. And you're just such a great guy and all this other stuff. So it was very nice, very heartwarming and touching. But I think at the actual wedding is when a lot of people's fears kind of went away. When Alexis first came down the aisle, actually, even before that, side note, Alexis was with her girls and she's getting ready and she is emotional, but she's like, I don't want to cry. I just have to, I'm going to get it together and be okay. As soon as her mom walked in, waterworks. And it reminded me of this movie. I don't know if you guys have seen it. It's a Christmas movie called Scrooged. And it stars Bill Murray. And in the movie, the ghost of Christmas Past is taking Bill's character to his childhood where he sees his mom who has passed away in the present time. And the ghost tells him, he was like, everyone acts like they're not affected when I show them stuff, but as soon as they see their mother, Niagara Falls, every one of them, they are just emotional as soon as they see their mom. And Bill Murray's character was no exception. So I thought about that scene where he's crying when he sees the ghost of his mother, because Alexis, as soon as her mother came into the room and she fell into her arms and started bawling because she was just so wrapped up in all the emotion of, oh my gosh, this day is finally here. I'm actually doing this. I'm about to be somebody's wife. Oh my gosh, I can't believe this. And it was just like, And I mean loud sobbing. And I shouldn't be judgmental of someone when they're crying and when they're sad and anxious and all that stuff. But her crying was stupid loud. Like, at her face, it wasn't like her mouth was wide open. It was just like, "Ah!" Like, it was really, really loud. And I was like, oh my gosh, if I'm your future husband and I hear you do that, that's going to drive me crazy really quick. Again, I'm being judgmental and I'm being petty. I would apologize, but I'm not. But so that happened. And then when she walked down the aisle, she noticed right away that he was very tall. He knows right away, that she's beautiful, beautiful smile, curvy, chocolate. They're both chocolate, which is cool. And as soon as they got in front of each other, their energy just really navigated toward each other. They were laughing right away. They made each other feel comfortable right away. And reading their vows to each other, the vows were very similar in what they were saying. They both have dogs, so that got them both excited. And you could just tell right away, and everyone in the audience could tell right away, all their friends and family, that, oh, this was definitely a right match. She's definitely the one for him. He's definitely the one for her. Their energy and personality just really meshes well together. And obviously, you can't make a prediction too early, technically, because, like, okay, they just met. They know each other for 10 minutes. But just being there, it was like, oh, okay, I can clearly see. And they said that after they got married and they went back up the aisle and they're drinking champagne and they're kind of having a little conversation before it's time to take pictures. In their conversation, they could see like, oh, wow, we have a lot in common. I could already see why the experts brought us together. This is great. You're so cool. You're this. Now, Alexis did admit in her little, interview that she's not overly attracted to him. Her words exactly was, he's not awful, but he's not really my type. And I thought that would be a thing, but I also feel like Alexis at this point in her life understands that looks, not that they're not important, but they're not the end all be all. And at this stage of actually being married and going through this process, you kind of already knew that there's a chance you were not going to be attracted to the person they paired you up with. So all you can do is look for those reasons why the experts matched you and focus on those reasons. And the more you, I won't say fall in love, but I guess the more you focus on why you guys were paired together and you focus on those parts of that person that you actually like, that'll make them become more attractive in your eyes. And it sounds like a dumb thing, but that's really how life works. That is exactly how it works, actually. So my early prediction for the two of them. Oh, also, wait a minute. Another thing that I thought was funny. When Justin was talking about how his failed engagement made him more cautious and made him pay attention to red flags a little bit more and how he's been celibate and all that stuff, he said to the producers, like, yeah, man, just in the past, like all the girls, they just looked at me like a piece of meat. They just all wanted the D. And I love the fact that the girls wanted the D was said on Lifetime. I just think that was just so amusing to me. That something that crude was said on the Lifetime channel. It's like, oh, look how far we've come to Lifetime. I just thought that was very interesting. But I do like her. Is I don't necessarily know if I like him. I don't dislike him, but she's my favorite girl so far. I also said that having the support of your friends and family and them getting hyped for you helps your nerves tremendously. Getting married, whether you know the person for a long time or not, is already very nerve-wracking. You're worried about your dress. Am I going to trip over my dress? Is everything going to fit? Do I have everything with me? Did I leave something at home or leave something in the hotel? You're worried about, the person you're getting married. Are they going to get here on time? Is there going to be traffic? Is there going to be a hurricane? Or whatever. Just a bunch of stuff floods your mind. So when your people around you, your bridesmaids, your groomsmen, your parents, when they're ready and they're hyping you up and they're all excited like, oh yeah, girl, you're getting married today. You need that energy. It is so important. And fortunately, all the people, at least for what I can see, all the people when they get married, they all have that support system around them. And even Justin, with his brother kind of being negative and not really feeling it, when Justin was getting ready with his tux and with his boys, his brother wasn't there, which I thought was good. Like I said, his brother seemed to come around towards the end, but I'm glad his brother wasn't in there at that moment because I feel like he would have still spewed some of his negativity. And the thing is, whether you agree with somebody or not, once you give them your opinion, nobody's asking you to give it again. At the end of the day, this is a grown man doing his grown man business, and he's going to do whatever he wants to do, and he'll have to be grown enough to face whatever those consequences are as well. So, let's see. One thing Alexa said that I liked, she said you have to find the connection at even the smallest level. I think that's key, especially if you're not necessarily attracted to the person. I think that's important. And I said that I think she may have a fear of commitment. I put that she's a loud crier, and there's something about a mother's hug and a mother's presence. soon as some people see their moms, it's like, okay, now I'm in a safe space where I can be vulnerable. So I hope, because she also said that she only allows herself to cry twice a year. And I don't know if that's her also not ever being in a space where she can fully be vulnerable around somebody. So hopefully Justin can be that safe space for her, because it doesn't really sound like she has it. I liked that they jumped the broom. And I like they did this thing as a cord with 3 strands that she braided, and it's supposed to represent them coming together. I thought that was really cute. And I think that may have been all of my notes. I do, like I said, I like Alexis. Justin, I don't think he's a bad guy. I think he's fine. So my early prediction is, I will say, based off of their chemistry at the altar, I'm going to say they're one of the couples that is going to make it. One thing I do like, and they've done this before, where the experts, after they're introduced to the couples, the experts will come on and tell us why they match these particular people together. And I think that that's obviously very important, because a lot of times we don't really know what's going on in their mind. And I believe they said they were matched because they can balance each other out. Justin will make Alexis feel more vulnerable, and Alexis will give Justin the commitment he's always wanted. So I'm going to say early that yes, they are one of the couples that's going to make it. And okay, we're going to go to the other Black couple, which is, I think her name is Sasha. Maybe Sasha and Nate. So Sasha's moniker is Boss Lady, and Nate is Hustler with the Heart. He's 34 and she is 37. They both like to dress. They're both involved in the finance industry, which I think is very key, because when she told her mother she was getting married, one of the things her mom said was, are you going to do a postnup? A prenuptial agreement is something you do before you get married, where you hash out who gets what in case of a divorce. A postnup is basically the same thing, you just wait till after you're married. And because they both seem to be very financially stable, making a ton of money, it seems like, I'm not opposed to this idea. I do think it's something that should wait until after the 8 weeks. Once you reach that 8-week mark and you reach decision day, and let's say you both decide to stay together, then you can talk about the postnup. I don't think it makes sense to discuss it beforehand, because even if you choose to separate or whatever after the 8 weeks, all this stuff takes time. That is a long process, and I feel like, I don't know. And the process is probably different depending on where you are. But again, I think you should wait until after decision day. I feel like it doesn't really make sense to bring it up before then. And even if you don't have the full discussion until after decision day, at least casually mention it in the first 8 weeks about, this is something that you are interested in doing. How do you feel about it? Kind of get their take on it. But I think because Nate is in finance like her, I feel like he would be on board to have a postnup as well. I feel like he'd be like, you know what, that makes sense, because I have a lot of stuff I need to protect as well. Now, obviously, if you're somebody that don't really have anything, you don't understand the point. But I think that he would get and be like, oh, okay, yeah, that makes perfect sense. And we're just protecting each other. Okay, yeah, cool, that works. Now, she is no nonsense. She thinks she's intimidating to men, because she's been focusing on a career for so long. She hasn't really focused on men like that. And I feel like we didn't hear a lot, or maybe I missed it, but I don't remember hearing a lot about her past when it comes to relationships. Just that she's focused a lot on her business, and so maybe that's why she hasn't paid attention to guys, or she hasn't made that a priority before. But she wants kids, and because she's getting older, she's 37, she's like, yo, now is the time. It's probably the last chance for me to actually settle down and have a family, and I really want that. And it seems like Nate really wants that too. He says he's a risk taker. He's not afraid to interrupt the status quo. He said it's hard for women to get over his past. So I guess when he was in his 20s, he did a lot of hoeing around. But that's what you're supposed to do in your 20s. Most people are a lot looser and experimenting, because when you're in 20s, for the most part, most people in their 20s don't know exactly what they want. So they're sampling a little bit of everything. So I feel like she wouldn't hold that against him, because it's like, I was in my 20s. This is what I'm supposed to do. But they both want to accumulate wealth. They both believe in generational wealth. So I think that's cool. And the expert said that he will match her. He will bring out her playful side, and she will be the enthusiastic partner that he needs. I think out of all the couples, I feel like they're, at least on paper, they're the ones who are the best matched with each other. They seem to have a ton in common. Their goals seem to kind of be the same. And, obviously you can't predict if somebody's attracted to the person or not, but on paper, it seems like they make the most sense so far. And one thing I did think was not interesting, but I was like, Oh, actually, no, this was interesting. When she was trying out her dresses or trying on wedding dresses, her mother or aunt asked her if she was ready to be submissive in a relationship. And I'll say this. A couple things. One, that's implying that she had already planned to be submissive in a relationship. That's implying that every woman needs to be submissive in a relationship. That's also implying that he wants a woman to be submissive in a relationship. And also, submission looks very different depending on the woman and depending on the couple. I thought it was just a weird question to ask. And I don't know if she's a Christian and that's just what they're taught, that you have to be submissive. So that's why she felt free to ask the question. But I thought it was just kind of interesting. I do know that at least now, and the thing is, being submissive from the religious standpoint as a wife is a little different than like the sexual submission that we're kind of familiar with, the dominant submissive relationship. I do know that a lot of powerful, high ranking women, they're so used to making decisions all day, every day at work and in other facets of their life that when they come home and they're with their lover, they do want to at least be sexually submissive because they don't want to have to make decisions. After making decisions all day and being the boss, they want a break and they want someone to care for them. I do know that that's the thing. I don't think that's what her cousin was referring to, but I did think it was just kind of a weird question, and I don't think it was necessary to ask it. I feel like that's a conversation she should have with Nate to see if that's what he wants, and for her to decide if that's what she wants as well. And also, her friend, when she was getting dressed, her friend was like, oh my gosh, I'm going to have to share you with somebody now. I've heard some single women say this when their friends are getting married. None of my friends said this, but is this something you guys experience? For those of you who are married, especially women, because I feel like this is not really something guys say. They may think about it if they say it. When you all got married, if you're married, did your friends make a comment like that? That, oh my gosh, I'm going to have to share you, and what am I going to do? And I don't know. I didn't go through that. And I feel like, not having been single for a while, but I feel like as a single person, once your friend gets married, especially like a really close friend, you do kind of have a meltdown of your own that, oh, I'm losing my friend. And I'll say this to the single people and to the married people. As a single person, whether your friend gets married or not, we all have different things that happen in our lives, right? Whether it's getting married, it's having kids, it's starting a new job, it's moving to another country, it's whatever. There's always going to be something that happens that is going to cause some disruption, maybe in how often you talk to that person or how, often you see that person. There's always going to be something there. And if the friendship is already a stable friendship, you're going to find a way to make it work because your friendship is based off of hopefully a strong foundation. Two of my best friends, actually, different best friends, one a woman, one a man at the time. Well, currently they're both married. One of them lived in Kenya for almost 2 years. One of them in Saudi Arabia for like 9 years. And, that could have been something that's like, oh my gosh, I can't believe you're on another different side of the country. What am I going to do? We made it work. I still talk to both of them at least once a month while they were out of the country because we both made an effort to call each other, to email each other, to learn the time difference, to make sure we could catch each other when we're able to talk. All that stuff becomes important to you when your friend has this life-changing moment. So if your friend is getting married, then you just make adjustments. Maybe you can't call them at 5 o'clock in the morning anymore to tell them about, your date they just came in from. Okay, so you just have to change things up a little bit, and that's okay. And then for the married people out there, it is very important that, yes, when you get married, your spouse, husband, wife, whoever, they do come first. That does not mean that they come first and everybody else is just like no more, and then it's just you and your spouse. You had these friendships or these relationships before you got married. You still have to do your part to fuel those relationships. You still have to do your part to reach out to that person, to see that person. It may not be as often, and that's okay. But the whole point is that you still make that effort. Never make your life all about your husband or all about your children to the point where you don't have anything outside of that. Because once the children get older and leave the house or your spouse passes away, now you're left by yourself. with no friends, with no other relationships, because you poured everything into just what's in your little house and then focus on the stuff that's outside of the house. So just a little advice for the married people and single people. And so, yeah, so that's it for them. I feel like Nate and Sasha, again, they seem to make the most sense on paper. So I'm going to say that they're going to make it. That's going to be my take. Now, the next couple I want to talk about is, I'm going to save them for last, I think. We will save them for last too. Kristen and Mitch. Kristen is daring and devoted, and Mitch is a rebel with a cause. He is 41. She is 32. I feel like Mitch is the guy I like the best out of all the guys so far. Mitch is very passionate. He's an environmentalist. He's a surfer. He seems like he has, he's 41. So it seems like he has head on his shoulders. He seems like he's a really down-to-earth, nice guy. I feel like Kristen also, I like Kristen. Kristen's the other girl that I like as second best. She has a dog. She just seems very chilled. She's down for whatever, down for adventure. Her story is a little interesting when it comes to, again, past relationships. She met a guy when she was 23. They got engaged. I don't know at what age. They dated for 5.5 years. So I guess when she was like 28, 29, got engaged. And then 2 weeks before her wedding, first of all, she took most of her life savings and poured it into this destination wedding. 2 weeks before the wedding, her fiance's mistress came up to her and told her, oh, we've been banging basically for 6 months. So instead of being, and I'm sure she was still like heartbroken and all that stuff, but instead of wallowing in that, she's like, you know what? This destination wedding has been paid for. So I'm taking all my homegirls who are already going to come anyway because they're going to be in the wedding, and we're just going to go have a vacation. And they went and they had a vacation that had the best time of her life. I was like, I like that. I like her mindset. I like her pivot. So I really like Kristen as a person so far. Obviously, things could change. But I like her so far. She's the oldest of 3 girls. She really wants children. Her friends say that she likes to operate outside the box. She doesn't like doing things traditionally. And that makes sense for her signing up for this show. And one thing she is doing that I think is weird, she told her mother, she told her sister, she told her friends. She says she's a daddy's girl. And she's going to wait till her actual wedding day to tell her father. I don't know why. I think that's weird. And I guess in her mind, if I wait till the day of the wedding to tell him I'm getting married, he doesn't have the room to say no. That's not really the way that works. He can still say no and he can still just leave. He can be like, what? You just throwing this on me right now? Not even just throwing it on me right now, but throwing it on me right now in front of cameras. Like, I'm not going to pass out. No, I think it's a really immature thing to do. And she doesn't really have a rhyme or reason for it. So it's like, I think that's stupid. I think it's a really stupid thing to do. But what do I know, right? For him, he told, I think his brother came over, and then he told his sister-in-law, his 2 nieces, and his mom through Zoom. Everybody's really excited for him, which is great. He wants help getting out of his comfort zone. And I think because she is so daring and so adventurous, she's the person that's going to bring him out of just doing the same thing over and over and over again. So I understand why they were matched. I think that kind of makes sense. And he also wants a wife that can speak her mind. He's rough around the edges, but he's basically a good guy, is how like his friends described him. And she wants a man who's passionate about his job, which Mitch is. But I don't know, outside of seeing how she could help him and he could help her, I don't think I've seen enough of how they're alike. Because even, obviously, whoever you marry is not going to be exactly like you. I understand that, and that shouldn't be the case anyway. But there needs to be some things you guys have in common, so it makes a little bit of sense. And at least from what they've shown me, I don't really see anything that Mitch and Kristen have in common. So for early prediction, even though I like Mitch and I like Kristen, I like them as individuals, as a couple, I don't know if there's enough there to really cement them. So I'm going to say my early prediction is that they will not stay together. And actually, when I do the next episode, at least 2 more couples would have gotten married then, so my prediction could always change. But for now, I'm going to say Mitch and Kristen are not going to make it. So we have 2 more couples. There's Lindy and Miguel. Lindy is 29. Miguel is 35. There's kind of a big age gap. Miguel is described as the starry-eyed scribe because he's a writer. And Lindy is an adventurous overthinker. Miguel is a very interesting character. He is a poet. He's also a medical writer. He likes to work out, and he also does Dungeons and Dragons and plays video games and all that stuff. Nothing wrong with any of those things, but all wrapped up into one person, I think is very unique and interesting. Lindy is a physical therapist, and she has a clinical doctorate. She said a lot of times she picks men who are emotionally unavailable, and it seems like Miguel is very in touch with his emotions and very much wants to be that romantic person that sweeps a woman off of her feet. So again, on paper, okay, that makes sense that she wants someone with emotions. Basically, he's in touch with his emotions. Let's put these people together, right? And that's what basically said. They were matched because they both want someone emotionally intelligent and someone who's willing to give their all. Okay, sure. Again, like they're both, I guess, in the medical field. They both have PhDs. That's not really enough to go on when it comes to, marriage. But okay, I guess. I did say, well, she said that she wants someone who's open-minded, someone who's a good listener. I do feel like from what she's describing, he is the kind of grown man that she says that she wants. Her being 29, that's pretty much means that most of the guys she's dated in the past have been a little on the younger side, not as mature, not as put together. And for him already being 35 and established, very much established, I feel like that's the stability that she needs. So I understand. Some of his friends think he's being a little too optimistic because he's like, yeah, I'm going to get married. And they're like, oh, what's going to happen after that? So we're going to live happily ever after. And I feel like I understand what they're saying. But when you sign up for something like this, you have to have a little faith that's going to work. I refuse to believe that anybody signs up for this show believing that they're going to get a divorce. You sign up because you actually want to get married and you do want it to last for the rest of your life. So that's the attitude that you should go in with when you're signing up for something like this, because otherwise, what's the point? Why set yourself up for failure and make yourself look dumb on camera? Like that, you're just wasting everybody's time at that point. So I don't necessarily agree with him with that. I think also her background's interesting. She grew up as a 7-day Adventist with very strict rules on jewelry. She couldn't dance. So when they had their bachelorette party and they had a shared bachelorette party with all the girls and one with all the guys, she was very awkward. She does not know how to dance, and she wasn't able to participate because the girls had like a pole that they're twerking on and sliding down, and she was just kind of awkward, like, oh, I don't know what to do. I just, and yeah, I mean, I don't know. I don't see enough that they have in common, so I'm going to say, well, you know what? I take that back. She is looking for stability and maturity. I feel like he encompasses that completely. I'm not sure what she'll bring to him, but I'll say that they will make it just because. Why not? We'll say they're going to make it, Lindy and Miguel. The last couple is Ben and Morgan. They are both Asian. Morgan is of Japanese descent, and Ben is of Vietnamese descent. Morgan, her tagline is she's strong and independent. She's 27. Ben is the mama's boy, and he's 29. So they're the babies of the group. I will say this about the mama's boy thing. My husband and I just had this conversation about this. He said he admits he's a mama's boy. My mother's the kindest person I know. Whenever I meet a woman, I immediately compare her to my mom. This is the good thing about being a mama's boy, I guess you want to call it a good thing, is that you know that he's able to appreciate and respect women. That is a very good thing. However, when you are a mama's boy, first of all, you should never compare anybody to your mother because that's just creepy and incestual, and no, you don't need to be doing that. That's first and that's foremost. Second of all, if you are a mama's boy and you're so used to putting your mom on this pedestal and so used to her being my cheerleader, my favorite person, my this, and this, that's great. But once you get married, there has to be a shift in your mindset. When something happens to you, good, bad, or indifferent, your mother is no longer the first person you should be calling. Now it is your wife. And I am a little leery about you signing up for a show when you are an admitted mama's boy because you're told you have 2 weeks to get married, right? So that's only 2 weeks for you to really adjust to the idea of having a wife and adjusting to the idea that my wife now comes above everybody, including my mother. That's already hard for a lot of people to do when they've been with somebody for years and years and years. it still takes a while for them to get used to, oh, that's why I'm supposed to call my wife first, not my mom. Gotcha. Some men still struggle with that. So to expect them to do that with just 2 weeks, like, don't really see that for you. So I think that could potentially be an issue in the future. Also, the fact that my man is cheap. Now, it's one thing to be frugal. It's one thing to like save your money. I think I'm all for that. I think that's great. But the fact that my man, he clips coupons, which I didn't think people still did. It's like, okay, I guess. But the fact that this man does not turn on the AC and does not turn on the heat. My man, you live in California. I know it gets hot. I know that it gets hot. And you don't turn on the air conditioner when it's hot in California. I have a big issue with that. Because my daddy was the same way. We took this road trip when I lived in Maryland. From Maryland to Maine for my cousin's college graduation. That's a good 12-hour drive, right? My daddy didn't turn on the air conditioner once. This is in the summer. This is like, what, May, June? It was summertime. It was stupid hot. And he did not turn on the AC because he was cheap. And I'm like, yo, this is abuse in some countries. Like, this isn't right. And so the fact that he doesn't do that, and Pastor Kyle gets told him, like, hey, you're going to have to adjust. You're going to have to, bend a little bit when it comes to that. It's one thing to hear it. It's another thing to put that in practice. And it's another thing to want to put that into practice. Because you can say all day long, oh, well, if my wife wants to do some stuff, I may have to bend and I may have to spend a little money that I'm not trying to spend. But if you ain't feeling your wife, or if you, aren't attracted to her or whatever, you're not going to want to do those things. You're not going to want to spend any money. You're going to want to kind of hold on to your stuff. And then next thing you know, you're accusing her of trying to change you. I don't know how I feel about, but I know how I feel about that. I don't like that at all. And I'm not saying he's a bad guy. Everyone's saying he's very nice and all that stuff. But it's like, there's a very, very thin line between being frugal and being cheap. And I feel like he's tap dancing a little too close to the cheap side. And that's just not attractive. But what I will say is Morgan seems like, I said her tagline is strong and independent. She is very much about handling her business. I feel like with her personality and with her being so independent, there aren't going to be many opportunities for him to bend and be amenable to spending money, because I feel like she's not going to ask him to too often. She said clearly to her friends, like, I need my space. I do this on my own and this and this and this. I want a man, but I don't need a man. That's fine. That's all well and good. But I feel like she's probably not going to ask him to really spend money on her, so that works in his favor. But I feel like most mama's boys are very in tune with their emotions. They're sensitive, and at some level they need to be needed. And for Morgan to be so independent, one of my fears is that she is not going to know how to allow him to do things for her, or how to communicate to him that she does need him on some level. I think everybody's capable of anything, but I think it takes some time. And after you've kind of ingrained yourself to be this person, like she does martial arts and she does kickboxing and she does like all of these great, wonderful athletic things. And, she's a nurse. She's like focused on her career and all that stuff. Again, with only 2 weeks notice, that's not enough time to change your mindset, to change the way you do things. So my fear is that she'll still be so concerned with being independent that she won't know how to allow him to find a place in her life. And that's one of the beefs I have with this show. Some of the people sign up for the show, is a lot of people sign up for the show and they're like, I have my career together, I have my friends, I have my family, I have all these great things, but I want a man or I want a woman. But their vision of that is taking this man or this woman in their vision who is perfect and placing them in the life they've already crafted and created. That's not how life works. When this person comes, this person is also coming with their own ideas of what marriage is like. So you can't just place them in this perfectly cut out hole in your life and think they're going to be happy. Because no, they probably have other ideas of the kind of life they want with you. So it's not about taking this person and just inserting. It's about taking this person, taking you out of this comfortable life you've created, meshing all together, and then you guys figuring out what your lives look like together and how you can still make room for what you had over here and how he can make room for what he had over there. Because it doesn't mean you give that stuff up, but it does mean that some things are going to have to adjust and change. And too many people sign up for the show and they're not willing to make those adjustments. Like, well, I shouldn't have to change and I shouldn't have to give up my friends. Nobody's telling you to give up your friends. But they are saying that if you normally hang out with your friends 7 days a week, you may not be able to do that anymore now that you're married. Maybe you hang out with them 4 days a week and spend the other 3 days with your husband. Like, that's not too much to ask. And so my fear with the two of them, I feel like they are very different. I think they'll definitely respect each other for where they are in life and respect each other for what they've been able to accomplish. I don't know if they'll actually be connected like that. I don't really see them having that connection, unfortunately. So I don't know if that's going to be a good match. I'm going to say that Ben and Morgan are not going to make it. So yeah, I don't see that happening. But all the girls and all the guys met each other because they had a joint bachelorette party and a joint bachelor party. I've never liked that idea. I feel like I understand why they do it, but I've never liked that at all. And I also think it's very interesting that for the men's bachelor party, they always have a stripper. For the women's bachelor party, they always have a pole for the women to twerk on and slide down themselves, but they don't give them strippers. I don't know if the women especially requested not to have them, but I thought it was very interesting that they didn't provide that for the women, but yet the men got to have the women grinding up on them and everything. But even for the bachelor and bachelorette parties, they had like a meetup with each other. And I did think it was interesting that the girls all met up at a nice little outdoor bar. They're all looking really cute, really nice in their colorful outfits and, their makeup and jewelry, while the men met to play volleyball. It's like, okay, this makes perfect sense that the men are doing this activity where you can talk but not really talk. And the girls are like together with the intention of talking and supporting each other. I'm never opposed to them offering support to each other and the couples being kind of close. I'm not opposed to that. But I will say, if you want a drinking game during the season of Married at First Sight, have your alcohol near you, have your shot glass near you. Every week, take a shot anytime all the couples get together. Because I know for the last couple seasons, they've been getting together way too much. Way too much. So that may be a fun drinking game if you get bored one day or one Wednesday watching the show. But that is my take on Married at First Sight, season 15, episode 1. So to recap, I think Sasha and Nate are going to make it. Alexis and Justin are going to make it. Morgan and Ben will not make it. Lindy and Miguel will make it. And Kristen and Mitch will not make it. That's my early prediction. Again, after some more weddings next week, I could easily change my mind. But right now, we're going to go with that. But I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you guys have not watched Married at First Sight, like I said, it's on Wednesdays, Lifetime at 8 p.m. So watch that on Wednesdays. And then Thursdays, you can come here on every Thursday to give a recap and a review of the latest episode. Make sure you subscribe to my channel. Again, click the notification bell because I talk about other things besides Married at First Sight. I actually have a new series starting next week, I hope next week, called Pages to Screen. But thank you guys for watching this video. Thank you for always rocking with me and listening to me. Please comment below. I love commenting with you guys about the show because you guys are so incredibly insightful and intelligent. And you guys normally say things that I wasn't even thinking about and really opening my eyes to new points of view. So please take the time to comment below. Share this video, like the video, all that good stuff. And I will see you guys next week.